Welcome back to the Ready State. Again, when we mobilize or use mobilizations, usually we're trying to accomplish a couple things. One, can I improve position? Two, can I reduce the session costs and enhance recovery and adaptation? Or three, can I treat my pain? And a lot of people come into the realm of mobility because they're like, whoa, something's on fire, I gotta get this fire out because it's disrupting my life, my quality of sleep. So when we mobilize for pain, we're trying to do a few things. One is that we're gonna first try to what we call desensitize. So can I desensitize my issue? And when I have a sensitized tissues, this is where we start to see the overlap between environment and sort of lifestyle and movement quality, movement quantity, sort of in this Venn diagram where things start to overlap. And this is why I can move a certain way for a long time and not have any problems, and then wake up one day and suddenly my shoulder hurts or suddenly my elbow hurts, right? And when we're trying to get to the bottom of that, it's sometimes difficult for us to appreciate that being overtrained or reaching, being underslept, not eating great, being in a fight with my wife, or having a difficult relationship at work, all of those things impact us. When we talk about our biopsychosocial model, right, the psychology of the human being, the environment of the human being, can be the factor that suddenly sensitizes the tissues or sensitizes the brain, or is there enough stress where the brain suddenly says, I'm not dealing with that anymore, right? So nothing can change except something in my environment, and suddenly I can be experiencing pain. So my brain has become sort of pain aware or body part aware, or simply nothing's changed and I just overdid it and now something hurts, right? I've just dropped below what we call the line of suck. All of a sudden I have this tissue tolerance line, everything's good, and then for whatever reason, psychology, environment, or comma, I just overdid it and now something's pissed, right? I'm not 22 years old anymore and my tissues are a little more friable, etc. So when we're mobilizing for pain, sometimes we can do a lot to just desensitize the tissues. Just by putting some input in, we can change how the brain is perceiving that. And maybe perceiving the painful tissue, we may even be able to change the mechanics of the system, unload the system, change the environment, change how the brain is perceiving that tissue. So desensitization is very, very powerful. And there are a lot of ways to do that. Gua sha, voodoo floss, percussion, contract, relax upstream and downstream. So you should be pretty comfortable, but when you're trying to get to the bottom of something that's painful, understanding that desensitization is the same thing that we're doing sometimes when we even take ibuprofen, right? We're trying to mask the thing, trying to get the brain to stop caring about what's going on. Second is that we do believe very much in decongesting. And decongesting can be a big part of getting my body to feel better. And what ends up happening sometimes when I have overdone, overreached, overprogrammed, have a tissue that's overworked, is that we can have localized congestion, localized swelling, and that can be enough to drive a lot of the symptoms that my brain perceives as pain. And so oftentimes when we work on compression or movement, when we move the lymphatics, we dump lymph and dump congestion through movement or autogenic compression or manual mechanical compression like Normatec boots or Mark Pro, something like that. This decongestion of the tissues oftentimes is enough to desensitize and take my brain off that. So understanding that blood flow restriction may be part of that, right? But certainly we have lots and lots of ideas around decongesting the tissues, and sometimes get the garbage out, groceries in is enough to bring my symptoms down, get me back into that pain-free, or at least my brain not perceiving the tissues as being a problem anymore, which is most of the time what's going on with our bodies, right? The bodies we're doing imperfect things, and all of a sudden the brain's like, this is not a big deal. We're not even gonna recognize that as a threat, and then all of a sudden I'm threat or triggered, boom, and I have a problem. And congestion can certainly be part of that equation. And the last thing is we're gonna call it reperfusing. Reperfusion. And you might think perfusion is about blood flow, and that'd be right. And reperfusion is about improving microcirculation. When we talk about that's small circulation to things like nervous tissues, that's things like capillary beds, right? That might be cartilages. What you're thinking is, it's not just the big obvious stuff, it's the small vasculature. And per Nick Denubili on our last podcast talk about, hey, he thinks that a lot of times when we can improve the environment, then one of the things that happens is that the brain, again, begins to perceive those tissues as in a different state and becomes less threatening. So if you've ever used blood flow restriction or exercise or movement, right, these are all magical ways to reperfuse. Even tooling or scraping, you're going to see the tissues superficially become, you'll see blood flow in those areas, and that may be enough and part of the mechanism. So when we're mobilizing for pain, any one of these aspects may be working towards changing how the brain is perceiving, and even just shifting of loci of control back to, hey, I have some pain, I know what to deal with it. My brain's like, oh, this woman has it handled, she's got it on board, no problem. Even the belief effects of these things can be working towards us, plus the actual changes in the local biology. So what we're thinking is, hey, probably when we mobilize for pain, one of these three things is being improved, but it could be all of it together simultaneously all at once. But more importantly, you have a choice about improving your tissue health, and more importantly, improving how your brain perceives your tissues so that you can get out of pain and get back to what matters most, which is being a pain-free human. See you tomorrow.